Welcome to United Network News, the official news channel for CARE, the Center for Amity and Restoration of Earth. I'm Sunny Galt. At UNN, you get the real news. Through our field messengers, we show you the truth about what's really taking place in our communities. We also bring you stories to help you remember who you are and why you're here, as well as regional stories that impact the people. And our World Situation Report reveals what's happening throughout the multiverse. We are here to restore Earth. In the U.S., it is Monday, April 8th, 2024. In eastern Uganda, we have an inspirational story. Learn how this woman from the local school started her pig farm after the COVID lockdown threatened her livelihood. And in Nigeria, we get a first-hand look at a beekeeping farm. Where did they put these farms, and how do they maximize honey production? Nanotechnology was meant to keep humanity enslaved, but what was planned for our harm can now be used for good. Multiple demonstrations are being held throughout Israel. The people are actively protesting the government's actions in Palestine. Now they're calling for peace and immediate elections. And Brazil goes toe-to-toe with Twitter, or X. They want several high-profile accounts blocked.
This is Calen Giff, messenger for United Network News. Here's a look at today's field messenger reports from all around the world. Today we journey to eastern Uganda, where a headmistress from a local school started a pig farm as an additional income source during the lockdown. UNN field messenger Mwandha Michael shows us the farm and interviews the owner.
Today, 9th feed, we visited the two districts today. I began with Uyikwe, and shortly I crossed over to Kayonga district in a place called the Kangulumira, where we visited the different farmers, but specifically today I want to show you how one of the teachers began new life after COVID-19 situation. He started to make a project of piggery, and out of this piggery he began with the two. As I speak today, when I saw the farm, he has 25 pigs, and he even is expecting more very soon. And what I'm showing you is the piggery corridors. This one here in title, and those ones here. Yeah, this one have the young one. Madam, this is the owner, the manager, the farm manager, called the Madam Janet. Who? How came that you came up with this kind of idea?
I came up with this kind of idea when it was COVID time. We were in a lockdown. I had nothing to do, so I began with the two piglets, but now I have around 25.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. This is Mwandha Michael, UNN reporting.
Next, we visit a Nigerian farm to learn about their beekeeping operations and honey production for commercial purposes. UNN field messenger Francis Alisi shares insights from his farm.
Hello everyone around the world. My name is Alisi Francis, a field messenger for United Network News, reporting from Imo State, Nigeria. I am a farmer and I want to report on beekeeping. Beekeeping, as you can see, is the practice, the agricultural practice of, collecting bee colonies, different bee colonies, building a good beehive for them and producing large-scale production of honey. As you can see, I'm moving around the farm. These are the beehives. You see the bee colonies, how they are doing their different functions. The hives are located scattered everywhere. So what we do is agric practices. This place we have enough nectar-bearing plants that the bees feed on. So we breed the bees in billions of colonies, and we process the honey, harvest the honey, and which we bottle and market for so many uses, both those in the urban and the rural area. When they are harvested, the honey is in large quantity and it is for commercial purposes. So this is what we do here in Imo State. We breed the bees. You can see the whole of this farmland. The beehives are scattered all over, and the purpose of scattering them is that there will be different colonies. We can be able to access different colonies. As you can see, different colonies see the bees doing their functions and collecting nectars, turning the nectars into honey. Thanks for watching. Alisi Francis reporting from Imo State, Nigeria. Bye.
We want you to become a UNN field messenger. These are everyday people just like you who want to make a difference in their community. You don't need any special training or equipment. Just use the camera on your mobile phone and show us what's happening in your area. You send us your videos and our production team will create the report for you. Our new website is now up and running at unitednetwork.earth. You can submit your Field Messenger reports directly through the Field Messenger tab at the top of the page. You can also email your reports to our new email address at fieldmessenger@unitednetwork.earth.
Hey, I'm Kirsten from Switzerland.
This is Wayne from Tucson.
Hi, my name is Desmond from Ghana.
I am Claudia from Dawsonville, Georgia.
I'm Mikey from Pretoria, South Africa.
Hi, I'm Steve McGrath, Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada.
People from all around the world are coming together.
Happy day, beautiful world. We are here in a rather small urban garden, and this video is just to show you the joys that we've had in this garden with the electric gardening.
When news happens in their area, they show us what's really going on.
We have people in the streets protesting for and against.
At United Network News, our field messengers are changing the face of news.
This is Field Messenger Helen reporting with nature, and I'm going to talk to you about the bees again.
Take the next step in restoring our planet. Become a UNN Field Messenger today.
Hi, I'm Stephanie from South Africa. If it's going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to me. It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to all of us. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news.
The 3D matrix we've been living in is artificial. It was a structure created for us to keep us enslaved. And one of the ways they were hoping to control us is through something called nanotechnology. Nanotechnology is the science and engineering of functional systems at the molecular level. In other words, a complete takeover of our organic bodies. They failed, but understanding what they had planned is still important. Dr. Mwandha Michael is a board-certified internal medicine physician with a PhD in pathology and 20 years of clinical experience. All right, Dr. Mwandha is back with us. And before, we were talking with you guys about transhumanism. And you guys can go back and watch that video if you haven't already. But nanotechnology, Dr. Mwandha, is part of that. So what do we mean when we say nanotechnology?
Technology is a technology that operates at the size of a billionth of a meter. So it is so small that literally the laws of physics are different. These are the laws of quantum physics. So now you are at the level of quantum computers and really modifying things on the atomic level. So what could go wrong with this? Well, it turns out that nanotechnology, for example, what we found in the COVID-19 shots has been shown to be potentially of dual purpose. So nanotechnology can be very helpful as a medicine, for example, that can help to treat cancers in the body. But on the other hand, it can be also used for nefarious purposes. So nanotechnology is used for biosensors that can be programmed externally. Or, for example, it can self-assemble, and that self-assembly or growth cannot be regulated. It will just keep going, which is one of the things that we've seen in this formation of the rubbery clots, for example, from the C-19 shots. So these components of nanotechnology, which are metals, which are plastic polymers, they can also harvest our electricity, which is this interbody area network, has been shown to hijack the electricity from our organism to be able to power itself so it can send our data to the cloud about our heart rate, our physiology, as well as brainwave function, for example. So this is something that can go both ways, and nobody is regulating nanotechnology. It's a billion-dollar industry. 13 out of 17 sustainable goals for the 2030 agenda of the WHO and United Nations are based on nanotechnology, are using nanotechnology, and it turns out that vaccinations are in the very center of it, because the mRNA lipid nanoparticle technology, this is nanotechnology that is now affecting everything, gene modifying people, and we have seen excess mortality and deaths with it. So what we need to do is really ask for a moratorium here, a pause, a reconsideration, a contemplation of what are the consequences of us modifying nature at this nano level, and really take a step back and understand we're like infantile children playing with atomic bombs, and without any concern about the potential consequences of what this would do to our world. And this is very, very dangerous. And literally the people who have the power to deploy these technologies, they need to be reined in, because if you don't have a conscience, if you're not soulfully connected to the question of what would happen if genocide could ensue from these nano weapons, for example, they don't even ask that question. It's all about how can you create the next biggest market with a new technology. So I think this is really pushing us towards a broader conversation.
Yeah. And the people didn't consent to it either. There was nothing that said, oh, when you take this little jabby jab thing, this is what's going to happen to your body. So we have people, it's unregulated, like you said, and I think there's a lot of malintention with all of that. Okay. I think a lot of them know what's going on and whatever. They're either not saying anything or whatever's happening up there. But then the people, we don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And you go to your doctor and your doctor's telling you one thing and you're like, okay, well, it's my doctor. I trust my doctor. My kids see my doctor, all of that. And all this stuff is happening. And it's happening, like you said, on a nano level that we can't see. We don't know. But we are seeing some of these side effects, like you were talking about, the rubbery, I've seen some of those videos and them pulling that out of people that have had the jab, and it's scary. And it does. It needs to be regulated. But I'm glad you made the point that this could be used for good, because it's not that all nanotechnology could be bad. Like you said, there are some good that could come out of this as well.
Absolutely, and we need to have public discussions about this because all things can be used for dual purpose, either weaponized or for benefit of humanity. We need to make sure that we have discussion as a civilization to where our species wants to go, because we cannot leave that decision just to a handful of people who may not have our best intention in mind.
Absolutely. Anthony William, known widely as the medical medium, has revolutionized the field of natural health through his unique ability to communicate with the spirit of compassion. This extraordinary gift has enabled him to receive advanced healing knowledge. Anthony has sparked worldwide movements, including the global celery juice movement and brain shot therapy. His extensive writing includes numerous books offering insights into natural remedies and the powers of food to heal the body, mind, and spirit. Through his writing, Anthony aims to provide everyone with the opportunity to assess this vital healing information. He also hosts the Engaging Medical Medium podcast. With decades of experience, his work has attracted a diverse audience, including celebrities, athletes, and individuals from various walks of life, all seeking to enhance their well-being naturally. His contribution to natural health is offering hope and healing to millions across the world. In the realm of natural health solutions, raspberry leaf is a powerhouse, particularly for women's health. The leaves of the raspberry plant hold an abundance of health benefits, especially for those navigating the complex journey of fertility. Rich in vitamins and minerals, raspberry leaf acts as a tonic for the reproductive system, offering support before, during, and after pregnancy. It's renowned for enhancing fertility, preventing miscarriage, easing postpartum recovery, and boosting breast milk production. For men, it serves as a blood purifier and overall detoxifier. Brewing a simple cup of raspberry leaf tea infuses your day with a nurturing ritual. For a potent blend, mix raspberry leaf with nettle leaf, creating a tea that balances hormones and restores the reproductive system. Whether you're seeking to enhance fertility or simply aiming for a healthier life, raspberry leaf is a gentle yet powerful addition to your wellness routine. Oil pulling with coconut oil is an ancient practice gaining widespread recognition for its health benefits. This method involves swishing coconut oil in your mouth for 10 to 15 minutes, aiming to promote healthy teeth and gums. Studies highlight its effectiveness in diminishing harmful bacteria, lessening plaque, and combating bad breath, offering a natural alternative to chemical mouthwashes. To get started, choose unrefined coconut oil for its purity and lack of additives. Begin your day with oil pulling, ideally before breakfast and dental hygiene routines. Measure 1 tablespoon of coconut oil and swish gently in your mouth, ensuring the oil moves between your teeth. Afterward, dispose of the oil in a trash bin to avoid plumbing issues and rinse with warm water. Incorporating this practice several times a week can lead to noticeable improvements in oral health. Incorporating coconut oil pulling into your daily oral hygiene routine can be a natural and effective way to enhance your dental health and overall well-being. We are United Network News. Every day, we release real stories from real people all over the world.
Field Messenger reporting from Gold Coast, Australia,
Denmark,
Canada,
Uganda,
from Atlanta, in Southern California.
In their own words, people like you share what's really happening in their area. At UNN, you are the news. You are creating a new world with infinite possibilities. You are the restoration plan. Come join us for the real news every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, only on United Network. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news. In Hungary, an estimated 100,000 citizens gathered in the capital to protest against the current government, marking it one of the largest opposition rallies in recent years. The demonstration, initially sparked by a former insider of the ruling party, has seen citizens unite across political lines in opposition. The protest centers on accusations of government corruption, the lack of independence in the media, and the prosecutor's office, and calls for systemic change ahead of next June's European elections. Notably, the protest avoided traditional opposition symbols, focusing criticism on both the government and opposition parties. This unity call represents a fundamental movement in Hungarian politics as it gears up for the next electoral challenge. In Great Britain, a series of strikes by train drivers is causing widespread disruption to rail services, impacting thousands of passengers. The strike action has led to most services being suspended on 6 major railway lines. With a significantly reduced timetable, some areas are facing complete service suspensions. This disruption is causing inconvenience for daily commuters and also for those planning to travel for business or leisure. The industrial action coincides with an overtime ban that further increases the likelihood of last-minute cancellations, adding to traveler frustrations. The strike, aiming to secure better pay for the drivers following their service during the pandemic, is expected to continue causing disruptions into the early part of next week. Passengers are advised to check their travel plans and expect delays and cancellations. In England, senior doctors have resolved a year-long payment dispute with their government, halting a series of strikes that heavily impacted the National Health Service, or NHS. This agreement promises an increase in pay for doctors and aims to address gender pay disparities and improve parental leave. However, the medical sector still faces challenges, with junior doctors continuing their strikes over salary concerns. These actions have led to more than 1.4 million appointments and operations being canceled within a year, adding strain to an NHS already burdened by pandemic backlogs and financial issues. The ongoing dispute with junior doctors poses a risk to further cancellations, aggravating the pressure on healthcare services. The public has felt the impact of these strikes, suffering from delayed medical care and extended waiting times. Italy is considering a law that would criminalize using surrogate mothers abroad, sparking significant debate. Advocates for a ban on surrogacy, including Vatican officials, argue that the practice undermines the rights of children and commodifies human life. They insist surrogacy differs fundamentally from adoption because it intentionally separates a child from its birth mother. However, opponents, many from the LGBTQ+ community and those facing infertility, challenge these claims. They emphasize surrogacy is a consensual and regulated process that offers a valuable option for family building. This comes in response to Italy's government proposing stricter penalties for those using surrogates abroad, including significant fines and prison terms. Critics argue such moves would only stigmatize families formed through surrogacy, but also ignore the consensual nature of the agreements involved. An Italian court has ordered the closure of a Giorgio Armani subsidiary following allegations of exploiting Chinese workers. These workers, employed at illegal manufacturing sites in Milan, reportedly faced a grueling 14-plus-hour days, earned low wages, and lived in substandard conditions. The workers were employed off the books by a supplier for Armani to produce bags, leather goods, and designer accessories. This operation breached labor laws by evading taxes, insurance, and Social Security contributions. It also ignored workplace health and safety standards and denied workers their rightful holiday and other benefits. Giorgio Armani Operations has refuted any wrongdoing, stating it has measures in place to prevent supply chain abuses. Storm Kathleen has caused significant travel chaos and power outages across the UK and Ireland, leaving thousands affected. The storm prompted flight cancellations and diversions, heavily impacting passengers at several airports, including Manchester and Belfast City. Airlines like EasyJet have been forced to cancel flights and are offering affected passengers refunds or alternative flights, along with accommodation and meals. The storm's strong winds have also disrupted rail and ferry services in Scotland and knocked out power for around 34,000 homes, farms, and businesses. Irish power supplier EBS Networks is actively working to restore service in these affected areas. Travelers are advised to check their airlines for the latest travel information. In Israel, demonstrations spark widespread concern following a tragic attack and ongoing conflict with Hamas. Since the conflict's onset 6 months ago, citizens have been actively protesting against the government's handling of the situation, calling for peace and immediate elections. Critics argue the government's lack of strategic plan post-conflict, leading to a potentially endless struggle without a clear diplomatic objective. One protest began with a tribute to fallen soldiers, while another included a personal account from a resident who suffered a direct attack, expressing a loss of security and trust. There's also a proposal for holding parliamentary elections in September, a move believed to potentially mend international relations. Normally, elections would not be due for another 2 years. Russia has declared a federal emergency in the flood-stricken Orenburg region, with thousands forced to evacuate due to rising Ural River levels. More than 4,000 residents, including 885 children, fled their homes as water inundated nearly 6,300 homes. The devastation extends beyond Orenburg, with evacuation and aid efforts underway in neighboring regions and damage estimates reaching $227 million. The emergency designation triggers federal aid, supplementing local response efforts. Amidst this crisis, a criminal investigation into potential construction violations has begun, highlighting concerns over infrastructure resilience. Authorities continue to monitor water levels and evacuate affected areas, emphasizing the urgent need for comprehensive support and infrastructure review. Vietnam is currently experiencing severe heat waves due to the El Nino weather pattern, significantly impacting its citizens as well as agriculture. Reports revealed individuals working outdoors, including gig workers and drivers, are finding the extreme heat unbearable, altering their work schedules to avoid the harshest midday sun. Farmers, especially in the Mekong Delta region, are facing dramatic decreases in crop yields, with some reporting losses of up to 40% due to scorching temperatures and rapid soil dehydration. The situation is worsened by saltwater intrusion into freshwater sources, threatening rice cultivation and the livelihoods dependent on it. Authorities are responding by building dams and providing free water supplies in the most affected areas. New Zealand has announced an overhaul of its employment visa program. The recent surge in migration, nearing a record 173,000 people last year, has prompted the government to introduce new restrictions. These restrictions include English language requirements for low-skilled jobs and a minimum skills and work experience threshold for most work visas. Also, the duration for low-skilled workers will be cut to 3 years, down from 5. The immigration minister emphasized the shift toward attracting highly skilled migrants, such as secondary teachers, to fill the nation's skills shortages. This policy adjustment aims to prioritize local New Zealanders for jobs and manage the workforce more effectively. The borders between Niger and Nigeria have reopened, reigniting trade activities halted by ECOWAS sanctions in August of 2023. The closure severely impacted both countries, leading to increasing food prices and unemployment. Civilian life in Niger and Nigeria was dramatically affected, despite the sanctions primarily targeting Niger's junta leaders. The residents of both countries have been forced to find alternative ways to sustain their businesses and livelihoods, including resorting to illegal border crossings. The recent reopening of the border and the announcement of a Chinese-funded railway project connecting Nigeria and Niger marks a promising advance in easing local hardships and strengthening economic bonds. Nigeria's central bank has unified its foreign exchange rates, causing the country's currency to plunge to a record low before making a partial recovery. This decision is part of the new government's efforts to stabilize the economy and attract investors by allowing market forces to determine the exchange rate. However, concerns arise over the potential rise in the cost of imported goods and an increase in government debt, given the country's reliance on imports and foreign debt obligations. The suspension of gasoline subsidies and the currency devaluation is expected to increase prices further, challenging many Nigerians who are already struggling with high inflation and unemployment rates. The government's moves also include the suspension of the central bank governor and the inauguration of a new economic advisory team. Zimbabwe has introduced a new currency, the Zimbabwe gold, backed by gold and foreign currencies. This development comes as a response to the high inflation and loss of public trust in the local currency, which led to more than 80% of transactions being conducted in foreign currency. The new currency is intended to circulate alongside foreign currencies with an initial exchange rate set against the closing interbank rate and the price of gold. Zimbabweans have a 21-day window to exchange their old currency, a move that the central bank believes will mitigate inflation pressures. However, the transition has left many worried about the immediate impacts on daily expenses and the broader implications for economic stability in the country. South Africa has proposed a controversial plan to allow tourists to use rhino horn powder for its alleged medicinal benefits. This proposal aims to enhance the economy by leveraging wildlife resources. It also seeks a substantial increase in game meat consumption and the use of plants for pharmaceuticals and cosmetics. The Environment Minister highlighted the initiative's potential to provide rural populations with incentives for conservation, potentially reducing land invasions and poaching. However, the plan has sparked debate, with critics labeling it extractive conservation and proponents arguing it balances economic needs with environmental protection. The strategy also looks to expand land conservation areas with a focus on benefiting Black communities through game ranching and hunting. A recent Brazilian public health report highlights the alarming levels of mercury contamination among the Yanomami people. This exposure, primarily through the consumption of contaminated fish, is largely attributed to illegal gold mining activities that use mercury in the processing of gold. Nearly 300 Yanomami individuals were tested, revealing that 84% have mercury levels higher than what is deemed safe by global health standards, risking serious health consequences. 10% of the participants exhibited contamination levels that could lead to severe health issues. Mercury exposure poses grave health risks, including neurological damage and developmental abnormalities in unborn children. The Brazilian government has pledged to combat the issue by expelling gold prospectors and enhancing health conditions for the Yanomami. X Corp, previously known as Twitter, has blocked several high-profile accounts in Brazil following court orders, the details of which remain undisclosed due to legal restrictions. Elon Musk, the owner of X Corp, expressed his concerns about this action, which potentially lead to significant revenue loss and the possible closure of the company's Brazilian operations. He plans to contest these orders through legal means. The company has been threatened with daily fines and its employees with arrest should they fail to adhere to the orders, directly impacting their operations within Brazil. This event is part of a wider trend of actions targeting tech platforms and executives, emphasizing regulations that hold companies accountable for policing illegal content. In the U.S., a chatbot designed to assist New York City's small business owners has been criticized for providing incorrect and sometimes unlawful advice. Despite reports highlighting the chatbot's numerous errors, including advising companies on practices that violate local laws, the city has decided not to remove the tool from its official website. The AI chatbot has been noted for suggesting businesses can engage in practices directly contradicting city policies, such as dismissing workers for discriminatory reasons and improperly handling waste. This incident raises concerns about the reliability of AI-powered systems in government services and the potential harm caused by their misinformation. Experts and critics argue that reliance on AI without proper oversight is irresponsible and poses significant risks. Concerns have been raised about insurers in the U.S. leveraging third-party vendors like MultiPlan to minimize payouts to medical providers, often leading to hidden fees and reduced payments for services. MultiPlan has become notorious for consistently recommending the lowest possible payments. This strategy, known as target pricing, enables insurers to set a maximum payable amount, compelling healthcare providers to accept lower fees. Critics argue this process, far from a negotiation, pressures providers with take-it-or-leave-it offers. The impact of such practices is profound, particularly on smaller medical practices specializing in critical care areas. This has escalated to the point where some healthcare professionals specializing in critical areas, such as therapy for children with autism, are considering not accepting patients, with insurance that employs these aggressive billing strategies. Insurers in California are increasingly using aerial images to make decisions on home insurance policies, leading to a surge in non-renewal notices for homeowners. These images, taken from planes or satellites, are used to assess the property's condition, and it's causing concern amongst residents and consumer advocates. Critics argue this practice is intrusive and raises significant privacy concerns, as well as issues with the accuracy and the ability of homeowners to contest the findings. Farmers Insurance and CSAA Insurance are amongst the companies using this technology, which they argue allows for more accurate and efficient inspections. Consumer protection groups are concerned about the insufficient regulation of surveillance technology in the insurance industry, highlighting a growing gap between technology use and consumer rights. Procter & Gamble, the company behind Tide, has issued a recall for more than 8 million laundry detergent pods across the United States due to a packaging defect that poses potential injury risks to children. The affected products include Tide Pods, Gain Flings, Ace Pods, and Ariel Pods produced between September of 2023 and February 2024. This decision comes after 3 reported cases of children ingesting the pod ingredients, though no injuries have been linked to defects. None of those have been confirmed. The flaw lies in the packaging, which may split open and expose the harmful chemicals within these pods. These substances are known to potentially cause serious health issues, including seizures, coma, respiratory problems, and burns. This recall extends to nearly 57,000 units in Canada as well.
Tired of being programmed? At United Network, you'll discover the truth about what's really happening on our planet. Get instant access to our written news, UNN newscasts, world situation reports, and in-depth stories from our field messengers. Manifest your amazing abilities as we explore the new Earth. Plus, original series to inspire and encourage you throughout your day. Get connected through United Chat, our personal chat room where you can join the conversation, share your experience, and also submit your questions for Kim. Watch United Network at home or on the go through your computer, favorite online streaming program, or mobile apps.
Welcome to United Network News.
Start your free trial today. UnitedNetwork.Earth, bringing people together.
And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. The solar eclipse completed its path today. Find out what did happen and what did not. Why is everyone hunting for the golden chalice, also known as the Holy Grail? Find out more in today's World Situation Report. Now here's Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian. Hey Kim, happy Eclipse Day.
Happy Eclipse Day. I see you didn't spontaneously erupt either.
No, I did not.
I know. Isn't that cool?
They said we were going to.
I know. Earthquakes, devastation. The good people of the military are going to come save you and bring you food, water. Yeah, that didn't happen, did it?
No, it did not.
You know, I know this blonde lady that said nothing was going to happen, but, you know.
Yeah, but they still had to get the fear out there, you know, do their job.
I know. God bless them.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a momentous day, though. I did talk a little bit briefly about new beginnings that were going to happen today during the time of the eclipse. Now, let's talk about why we have a new beginning today, more importantly. So one thing that how do I say this? That I can't say you should or you need to, but there's one thing that I personally understand is that a covenant from source is something that only the person or party, being, group, that makes the covenant with source, only the two of them can decide together to break it.
Okay.
Now, in the absence of a counterparty to break a covenant, then only source can break a covenant. Now, when source gives his word for something, and we've talked about this before, he usually maintains that word till the very end. So therefore, the likelihood of source breaking a covenant unto itself is, I don't think I've seen it happen just yet.
Okay.
Now, everything that we've been working on for the last couple of years pretty much came to fruition today, and there's a reason for it. So here on Earth, in Earth time, for lack of a better term, because time is funny. When I say time to some folk, they laugh. 3,296,000,000 years ago is when the Dark Age began here. And there was ancillary covenants to beginning the Dark Age, ending the Dark Age, moving into the Golden Age that did not actually expire until today. So one of those covenants, this is where religion, science, and source, and New Age movements, and all of these things kind of come together in full circle. So 2016 years ago today is when the covenant was made between, I guess you would say, the being that at that time brought what we call the golden chalice, and I'll explain that a little bit more, to Earth. We all know that being is written in many different religious texts as Jesus and meant by many other names.
Okay.
Now, that binding that bound the chalice to Earth, and I'll go into that in a minute here, happened, and it lasted for 2016 years. Now, we hear about the hunt for the Holy Grail, and trying to claim the golden chalice, and everybody's been looking for it, but nobody can allegedly find it. Now, part of the reason why this is so important for those people is because the golden chalice represents the soul of source here on Earth. And it's not, I mean, could it be an actual item? Yes, it's an actual item to some degree, but it represents the overflowing creation of the Creator throughout the multiverse on the light side of source. Now, the chalice had been repeatedly bound by the dark side, which means it binds the soul of Source to the dark soul of Source, or anti-Source, once again. And this would happen repeatedly throughout human history, throughout the Dark Age. This time, things happened a little differently. So the chalice was a physical item that was actually located here on Earth under the Mount of Olives.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, did it actually look like a cup?
It actually looked somewhat like a chalice, I guess you would say. It looked
like a fancy cup?
It didn't have all the bells and whistles on it. There was, it was just pure gold. It didn't have all the gemstones as they claim throughout religious history.
Okay.
It was just gold.
Okay.
Pure gold. Just like the veins of gold that are in the Tree of Life, as an example. Just like the golden flowers of life and essence and energy. Just like the golden crystal flowers that hold the essence of the golden age, as an example, is what it looked like.
Okay.
So Source's ultimate goal, was to regain that part of himself, his soul, so to speak, and no longer be bound to darkness forevermore. And that was part of the covenant that happened with the death of the Christ, or the Christ, here on Earth. So today was the only day that could be done. So the reclaiming of the chalice could happen today. Now, on the other side's part, I don't think on that level they really knew what this means or what could happen. From what I could gather from listening to meetings over the weekend, over the last several days, is they were expecting that there would be earthquakes, lots of earthquakes, death, destruction, the end of the world as we know it, that kind of thing. And the death would appease the gods, the ones they call the gods. We call them here Abraxas. We call them Draco. We call them fallen angels. That's what we call their version of the gods as written in their texts. We identify this as a being that is not a god by any stretch of the imagination, but they have the things that they worship and all of that. So if that had been renewed, it would have given equal amounts of power to both sides. And it could have been an opportunity to go back to a neutral age, but most dark beings don't understand what it means to not be in power.
Yeah.
Therefore, the GOLD agreement, when he decided to pull the plug a little over 2 years ago now. So that meant that when this covenant finally came up for renewal, so to speak, it was not going to be renewed. So we can say we knew at that time we had already won.
Right.
We were fighting with Source. We were partners, so to speak. We were, and when I say we, I'm not just talking about myself. I'm talking about a lot of you that came here for this time. Maybe you still talk to people from your home. Maybe you still, some do, some don't. Maybe you're just kind of starting to wake up to that connection. But you're here for a reason if you're fighting on the light side. And there's a lot of people doing this. There's a lot of people clearing darkness, trying to make way for, I guess you would say golden age, a time with no darkness, no binding of organic life on this planet or this planet itself to darkness in any way. We don't, at least I can speak for myself, some things are not said. Some things are not told until it's the exact right time. And that right time apparently was at 2 o'clock this morning, my time, apparently. That was the right time to tell me.
Okay.
You know, and there was a lot of work that went in today, and there were still some mechanisms here that were anchoring darkness to this planet. And sometimes, as I've told you in the past, I get woken up with a song.
Yeah.
And it's like that blaring alarm where it just goes off and the song starts playing, you know, if you have a song that is your alarm. So today's song was Holiday by Madonna. Oh, dear God. You know, the eternal wedding song that never goes away. You could go to a wedding 50 years from now, and that song will be the one that indicates it's now time for everybody to dance.
That's right.
And it doesn't matter what country you're in, mostly. You know, if you have dancing, that song is the song.
Yeah.
So, you know, there was a part of the song that says, you know, there's going to be a celebration all around the world in every nation.
Yeah.
And to source, apparently that means that we are going to celebrate all around the world today. Mm-hmm. But for Kim, that meant you are going to remove all the anchors of darkness in the following locations.
Which leads to everyone celebrating.
Which leads to eventually getting the chalice, right?
And the holiday.
And the holiday, yeah. The holiday, still waiting for the holiday. Still waiting for the holiday.
Yeah.
But I thought I would give this information to you anyway, because it could be relevant to some of you, you know, places that maybe you've visited before or you want to visit, you know, around the world. But now you can go visit because it's no longer an anchor for darkness.
Okay.
So location number 1, the Grand Canyon. Location number 2, the Marble Caves in Patagonia, where we actually met some of the SSP persons today that are no longer with us. Goodbye. Mm-hmm. Sacred Valley in Peru. The Rose Garden in Versailles. Oh, boy. The Chephren Pyramid, also known as the Khafre Pyramid in Egypt. The Bermuda Triangle.
No surprise.
Mm-hmm. I know, that's a surprise. With anchors in Miami, Florida, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and the Cathedral of the Most Holy in Bermuda. So that was the 3 anchors for what was underneath there. And we could go into detail about the space junk that's underneath there, but we're not. I mean, you don't really want to hear it, and we only have so much time. So the Church of Santa Maria Santo in Positano, Italy. The Spanish Stonehenge, known as the Dolmen of Guadalperel. Oof, say that 3 times fast. In Spain. Basically everything that is known as a temple of the sun on planet Earth. You name the location where there is a temple of the sun, and we were there today. Wow. Tons of them in India. Obviously, we have some in Mexico. There's some in China. So they're all over the world. So if you just look up all of the sun temples or sun pyramids of the world, and now you'll have the laundry list of the places that we were there. Okay, the Sacred Gardens of the Inca Trail in Peru. Here's another one for you. You're going to love this one. Mar-a-Lago, Florida.
No, for heaven's sakes.
Oh, Lord, help us all.
Now we know why the whole Trump crew wanted Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, you know, Washington, D.C. was in there, too, in the list.
Geez.
It was basically the entire area around the White House. You know, and it kind of made me wonder there, because some of the things that we found, including in Washington, D.C., were actually the books of death. So, you know, we talk, and the Bible talks about, and a lot of religious texts talk about the books of life. Yeah. And then, of course, there's the opposite, books of death, right? That's matter and antimatter. And it makes it started me thinking about, I got this like flash of when they take the oath, you know, when a president of the United States takes an oath. What book is that anyway?
Well, from what I've seen, because they made a big deal about this when Biden swore in, because it was a huge, ancient-looking book, and there were even reports that there were upside-down crosses and really weird things on it. Doesn't it depend? Can't the president-elect choose? Are you talking about the main swearing-in Bible or whatever that is that they swear on? Because I thought it changed.
You know, I kind of wonder. I don't know. I wonder if the cover really, the aesthetics of it really matter as much as to what they're, who they're actually, or what they're actually trying to swear an oath to there.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
And I kind of wonder. And if the base root of that is true, and what we found in Washington, D.C. and underneath the White House and around that whole area, and if that is true, then, you know, I kind of wonder, you know, the leader of the alleged free world, right? What is inside there, regardless of the pretty binding cover and box and whatever else that's in there. So,
you know, this is a while ago now, shortly after Biden took office, I believe. But there was a lot of stuff happening at the White House. At least we saw photos of them digging and doing weird things and putting up barriers so people couldn't see. Do you know if any of that is connected to some of the stuff you found today, them digging and, you know, because you said it was under the White House?
Could be. I mean, there was a lot of stuff under Washington, D.C. in varying phases that we found. But sometimes we'll go to a location and we cannot detect, for example, what we found today under D.C., the last time we were cleaning out things under D.C. Mm-hmm. And part of that is because, and in my opinion, is that this is like a diffusing a bomb, and we have limited knowledge. Even the ones that have the books and, you know, that come from their alleged gods and so on and so forth, you know, we don't have all the information. And if you are trying to defuse a bomb and you don't have all of the information, you could make a mistake and do something incorrect. So I think that we are somewhat, things are cloaked by source itself. You know, when it's time, then it's time to find all of the things.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
But that thought did cross my mind, you know, when I found those books underneath there. I was like, wonder what that book is that they use, or what it's supposed to symbolize anyway. Okay, next, the Tercentennial Labyrinth in Glastonbury, UK. Mount Shasta, big surprise there. Not. Again, I went to Mount Shasta several times this weekend, actually. Also went to the Vatican several times recently, but back there again. The Dashur Pyramid, it's spelled Dahshur. The Angkor Wat Temple in Cambodia, spelled, I think it's Angkorwat, and it's 3 separate words. And then we were at the Pyramid of the Sun and the Moon, and Teotihuacan, I always say this word wrong, in Mexico, but it's Teotihuacan or something like that, is the name of the city. I tell you, you know, even if I learned every Spanish word, and I mean no disrespect to our Spanish-speaking people, but you know, I just didn't get the roll of the R's. And
yeah.
The Tiede volcano in the Canary Islands in Spain, spelled Tiede. The Lempuyang Temple in Bali. The Guimar Pyramid in the Canary Islands in Spain. Pyramids of Giza, all of them.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. The Sun Pyramid in Bosnia. There's also a Pyramid of the Moon and one other that are there as well. The Lion Monument in Lucerne, Switzerland. the Temple of Aphrodite in Rhodes, Greece. We were at more than one dragon temple today. The one in Thailand is actually very interesting. You should look it up. It looks like a giant serpent going around a building. Yeah, and then the second one was actually in China, and it was called the Baipu Temple, Baipu, also known as the White Waterfall Temple. The Ganges River in India, Mount Fuji in Japan, the Knight's Stone in Kilmore Cemetery on the island of Scotland. We already talked about Washington, D.C. In Shaftesbury, England, we have the Abbey of St. Edward. Mount Agung in Bali, in Indonesia. The Hercules Caves in Morocco. Mount Sinai in Egypt. Now that's an interesting one from a biblical standpoint. The Nazca Desert. Moray in Peru. There's also the Mykonos Pyramid in Cairo. The Round Pyramid. Oh, can I say? Here we go with another Spanish word. The Guachimontones Round Pyramid in Jalisco, Mexico. We went also to the Gobi Desert. There was a couple of locations there, nondescript, nothing else there except for what we were looking for. Machu Picchu, again. The Fanjianshan temples in China, which are the ones on that high mountain we showed you one time. Antarctica again. Never run out of things in Antarctica.
No.
Okay, so there is also an Ararat lookout in Pennsylvania, believe it or not.
In the state of Pennsylvania? In the U.S.?
In the state of Pennsylvania, yes. It's called the Ararat Lookout, or Mount Ararat. Yeah, in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah. Got to take all the religious things, name them something, and throw some space junk underneath there and let her rip.
So. Yeah.
The Kata Tihuta in Australia, it's spelled Kata, and then there's a second word is Tjuta. So just to spell it out for you. I think it's also called Mount Olga, was the other name for it.
Well, that's easier to say.
Yeah, interesting places to look up. And then there are some stones also called the Whispering Knights. You can look those up. We were back at Lake Titicaca in Bolivia, under the Strait of Gibraltar. Obviously, the Mount of Olives, which we talked about. Mm-hmm. And then there were some connections to a few other pyramid sites, but that was mainly coming from elsewhere. So we didn't really go to those particular locations. So a lot of places today, but these were formerly locations that you could say that actually bound darkness in combination with the chalice and bound the light and dark, not only here on Earth, but for the multiverse, because we are a nexus planet and a gateway planet.
Right. Okay.
So just a bit of interesting information about what they thought was going to happen versus what we woke up at 2 o'clock this morning, ready for action. Where are we going today?
Right.
So was there a celebration all around the world? I guess for some people, unless you're the party planner, right? Maybe the party planner's all excited about having a party. You're the host of the party, but we're the people that ended up working in the kitchen. I'm not sure how that worked out, but I did. I feel like the caterer now, and I'm exhausted, and I want to go home.
So when you said you went to those locations, where were there? I know you said that you did find SSP.
Mm-hmm.
More than one location, were they at?
Yeah, we found them also at we found them at the caves in Peru. Patagonia. The Marble Caves is where we found them. I know there. I'm trying to remember the other. Obviously, Mar-a-Lago, that's a given. You always find SSP operatives, Trump people playing the role of Trump in Florida. Mount Shasta, definitely found some people there. I don't remember them being anywhere else because it was only like 2 or 3. Obviously, they're in Washington, D.C. That's a given.
Yeah.
Mining for gold there.
Yeah, what were they doing? What were they doing in these locations?
Seeing if they could make sure that these things worked. I don't know. Apparently. Trying to cause earthquakes, appease the gods so that they can get some power back. You know, it's been a couple of years since they picked sides. It's too late now, to turn back. So from here on out, we don't have any anchors of darkness, as I understand it. So this is my current understanding, and you're hearing it as I'm learning it. So here on Earth, which then allows for source not to be anchored to anti-source anymore. Therefore, you would say that as of today, even though we really don't have anti-source anymore, you would say the binding to creation, the way of creation utilizing both dark and light ended today for source. Therefore, you could actually say that the war of the gods is over. That kind of makes sense?
It does. We've talked about neutral source before. What does that mean for neutral source? Just we just have the one source now, the positive.
We when this is finished, because it'll take time to complete, but yes, we will have the one source only. Only one source of all creation, no longer needing any remnants of darkness to create.
Right.
So even though the ultimate source of darkness maybe is no longer with us, that doesn't mean there wasn't still a reason for some darkness to exist in order for the Creator to create for a time.
Yeah.
Until the end of the covenant.
Which was today at 2 a.m. your time.
Today. Well, that's when it started. It officially ended at 4:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
That was when the window closed.
Okay.
Yep. Now, over the weekend, it was quite an interesting weekend for me. They would go from place to place all weekend long, trying to use my essence to open gateways and portals. Because they had come to the realization that I am the gatekeeper. So they figured they could just, it's kind of like you see those movies sometimes where you put they put their hand on the pad and then it opens the door or something. Well, this is a little bit more intricate and intimate way of doing such a thing. But in the movies, sometimes you'll see them, brutally cut off the person's hand and stick it on the keypad or something. And even though they have essence to do that or have taken my essence to do that kind of thing, it doesn't mean that it's still, it's not going to register the essence the same way as if it's living essence within my person, in my vessel.
Right.
So this happened continuously throughout the weekend. It wasn't just the events on Thursday and Friday of last week. It also continued to happen in various locations around the world all weekend long. They were preparing, and all the hubbub, about this eclipse and states of emergency and all of these types of things were coming from some old books of knowledge that they thought that they were going to create earthquakes all these things. Death and destruction was going to happen when anti-source was allowed to recreate on this planet, and the gods would come back, aka the Abraxas or whomever they were waiting to come back, and life for them was going to be just great, and they would be back in charge again.
Yeah.
Just like they allegedly were 2016 years ago. Now, to be fair, in all that time, going back billions of years, they never lost. And it wasn't the humans, really. They were just a byproduct. They were just lower level management staff that reaped the rewards of the war between the gods, so to speak, or the war between the angels, or the war between, both sides fought with everything they had at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But, like you say, sometimes timing is everything. We want things when we want things, and we want things to move when we want things to move. But that doesn't mean that it moves when we want it to move. Now, this should actually help us get over the last and final humps as well once the integration is complete with the transference of funds, because we are transferring funds into a light-dark system, and the dark still wants to bind to the light, and therefore creation of only light, in my opinion, for what it's worth, and in others' opinions, is the reason why we have had such a difficult time.
Now, when you say others, are you talking about other beings that are here to help us?
Yeah, because we have a lot of people here, as you know, right now for this time. Helping, anchoring, especially due to the importance, which they understood probably more than we did, of the events that happened today.
Right.
So the good news is we are moving right along. The better news is that everybody got a show today, and that was interesting, and it went away, and that's the end of that, and we're all still here.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we said, eventful, I guess you would say yes on our side of it, uneventful on their side, other than the fact they're scrambling like crazy to see if they got anything, because they don't know really how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are they going to get something? Like, do we just have to wait till it's over? Will it happen a little later? We don't know. What are we supposed to expect?
Yeah.
So hopefully now they understand, maybe I know they watch our news, but maybe they'll understand, well, this is where you should have been.
Yeah.
But they're still dependent on something else to create that kind of destruction.
Mm-hmm.
They did spend a little time this weekend near Montauk, as you know, I think that was on Friday.
Right.
And so, I guess there was some kind of effort. Now, the other thing that's circulating about that game they were playing there is, according to the alt media, there is a new group they call the Red Hats.
So not the white hats. Now we've got the red hats.
Now you've got the red ones, yes.
Okay.
And the red ones were allegedly the cause of the earthquakes.
So is this kind of the alleged boogeyman that they're blaming stuff on now, or is this an actual group of people?
There were people there. There were humans there for sure. I don't know what they're doing. They seemed like they made it out like the earthquake was a good thing, and for some reason, some of them were, and don't worry because the good military is going to come save you and protect you, bring you food and water. So, I don't know. I think they're just so used to, creating fictitious enemies and fighting their own selves.
Yeah.
So they can come out the savior.
Yeah. So who's reporting on the red hats? Where did that come from?
I've seen it on a couple of news sites.
Okay.
Rumor Mill News. I've seen it on YouTube. I've seen it a couple of different places. It was pointed out to me by somebody else. I can't.
Okay.
Don't have time for watching a lot of videos and stuff. But yeah. Yep. There's now the Red Hats, and they're saviors too.
Lovely.
That's okay. I think there's a group of people, ladies. There's a ladies group. It's predominantly a U.S. thing. They call themselves the Red Hats, and they wear purple dresses and red hats. And when I am old, I shall wear purple or something. It's like a line in a book. Yeah. I don't think it's them though. They don't strike me as that type of grandma.
The whole thing's so weird.
I know.
Did Q ever reset their clock? Are they still on 0?
The last I had looked, no. There was no reset of their clock.
So I wonder if that's just gone now. The person that was resetting.
I don't know. It died for a few days, and then they get a bright idea, and it comes back. Yes, it is still not reset as of this moment. Thought I'd look at it for you. Okay. But nope, still no reset of Q, no nothing. Nope. But they'll probably get a wild hair and think of something exciting. But the good news is that, they don't know what to expect, where to go, what to do. And even if they did, there's nobody behind them to do it for them anyway.
Now, I know you were busy fighting the bad guys today, but do you have any indication that the eclipse did anything positive for our environment? The reason I'm asking is I was watching a video from Marina Jacoby, and I think she posted it a couple days ago, I want to say. But she was channeling, and someone asked a question. It was like a live Q&A, and asked about what was going to happen during the eclipse. And she was talking about algae being formed in the ocean, positive algae that was going to transform the ocean in a positive way. She was also talking about negative ions, I believe she said, in the air. That was going to transform the air to make the air more breathable, better for our planet. But have you seen anything like that, or any indication that the actual eclipse is changing the physicality of our planet?
Well, I don't think it's the eclipse per se. I think it's the change that we're talking about. So when we talk about things, we talk about light, we talk about consciousness, we talk about a lot of things. But in scientific terms, which she tends more to be on a scientific level, there are science, not science that that they publicize for us little people. Sure. But science, from a science standpoint, it is a known fact that there is a specific type of algae that will actually eat pollutants and toxins in the ocean. Right. That's a fact. They are aware of it. Matter of fact, it was something that was suggested during the oil spill. This was several years ago now, that happened in the Gulf. Remember that? And you can't talk about that. That's classified. I'm like, well, how is it classified? You got oil in the ocean. You want to clean it up, right? Allegedly. Maybe you don't, and here's how you do it. Very simple. So is there such a thing? Absolutely, there is such a thing. Is it possible to utilize that in the oceans to clean the oceans? Yes, it absolutely is. Is it going to deploy all on its own? I don't know. I could see something like that happening. I don't think it's something that would happen all on its own. It would probably, on a scientific level, I would say it would be the negative ions. Okay, so negative ions have nothing to do with being negative energy. Okay, so just to clear that up real quick. So a negative ion requires a positive charge to bind together.
Right.
And we, as people, have always had in the past both positive and negative ions. It means that, in order for them to bind together, and make life, so to speak, in energy, we would have had both. If you've ever heard some people use ionic air filters as an example, because it pulls the toxins out of the air. So think about what that could do if it was happening on a worldwide scale. Now, I'm going to bet you any amount of money there's going to need to be a mechanism that's going to have to take place behind that. Not to say it's not possible to happen quickly, or that it could happen once all of the ions are already filtering into the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, could it in effect clear pollutants and those things from the air, it actually could. It actually could. The reformation of molecules, you know, I mean, a source is always perfect. So if it's coming from source, I'm sure it'll be right. But, you know, are they going to try to interfere with that? I do know that there were some experiments that were allegedly launched today. I can't remember by who. I think it was by NASA.
The rockets? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and then spraying aerosols into the sky.
Yeah.
You know, in order to conduct an experiment. And I'm not sure if that was related to this or what that was all about either.
Well, a lot of people are reporting an uptick in chemtrails. I even saw one right above my house yesterday, and I never see them like super close to where I live, but one was literally right above my house. And I was like, wow, oh my gosh. So that was just yesterday. So people are reporting an uptick in all of that.
We have them here too.
Eclipsed. Yep.
Yep. All probably in preparation to appease their gods.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing I did notice, this is just for myself personally, until I figured out a way to clear it out today. But, you know, even on Friday's news, you heard me sniffling and that kind of thing. I don't have a cold. I just thought it was seasonal allergies because I get seasonal allergies sometimes. I'm like birch trees and those types of things, you know, are not my friend. But now I'm kind of like looking back on it. I'm like, even when I've had seasonal allergies, they're usually not that bad unless I'm like literally, you know, wading through pollen, you know, cleaning up right around the trees that, you know, that aren't really my best friend. But even then, I mean, not to the extreme that I did for a couple of days.
Yeah.
I mean, no fever, no nothing, you know, it was just constant sneezing.
We had that in our house too, actually. Now that you say that, my girls were feeling a little out of it. They actually didn't go to school today because they were feeling not so great. And we had like the sniffles in the house and headaches. I had headaches. But I actually didn't even connect it to anything that was going on outside. I thought maybe it was related to eclipse stuff, but didn't connect it to chemtrail. But yeah, I've had headaches for a couple days. They're gone now. I haven't had anything today.
See, I attributed the headache, right? Because I did have, it was a pretty rough day. I had a few rough days this weekend, not going to lie. The whole essence thing, that's what I attribute it to, because anytime someone's using your energy, your essence, and your consciousness to achieve a goal somewhere else, which happens to humans all the time, really it does, more so than you would have thought it did in the past. But when they're directly focused on you, it does drain you. It gives you a headache. You feel terrible. It can make you feel cold, like get chills and that kind of thing. And as it does with humans as well. So, you know, in general, when we're having something happen. So, I can't help but wonder, you know, maybe it was more widespread than I thought.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe what they were spraying was not their normal stuff. Maybe it was something else, some way to extract the energy from people, you know, where people were allergic to it, apparently. So, well, hopefully, you know, I don't know what they're going to do from here on out as far as the deep state remaining people that didn't die in the last 3 days. As of now, at the time of this recording, which is very late to get the news out, so I apologize for that, they are feverishly looking to see if they got something. You know, they're hitting switches, buttons, scanning, looking, seeing if any of their stuff came back, hacking the crap out of computers to see if there's anything there. You know, did they get any money? You know, there's the other one. You know, did they overtake the Alpha system? There's another one, you know. And number one, you know, that is also a fallacy as well, because yes, did they have the ability to, did some of the gods, so to speak, as they call them, have access to some parts of Alpha in the past? Yes, they did, you know, in the past. It has been over a decade, if not more, since they had any access to that. I think it pretty much ended in 2007, and that's even for the non-humans that they worked for.
Right.
So, the thought process and the comments that were circling around the deep state is that by the eclipse, they were going to have access to the alpha system and they were going to have full control and all this other stuff, but absolutely not. No, it would have never happened full control anyway.
Yeah.
Whether they know it or not, they were going to claim the golden chalice. That's what they were going to do. They just didn't know what they were going to do. But even then, you can only bind it. You can't control it. Right. You just have the ability to utilize the energy of source essence. That's it. So a successful eclipse. We all made it. We're all still here. Now we don't know what the alt media is going to talk about here on out. Might take a few days until they figure out what else to say. Not sure. Meanwhile, moving on, moving forward.
There was no red dust or anything, just to clear the air, no pun intended. No red dust or anything is covering the planet, causing any kind of bio-warfare issues. Nothing like that happened, right?
No. No red dust, no red mercury, no harvest, no earthquakes. Matter of fact, even on Fox News last night, and someone had sent me a clip, they allegedly said, according to this clip that I saw, so it wasn't all, it was in like on Instagram or something like that, and they said that they were talking about the 4.8 earthquake that happened on the East Coast, and they said, well, it's not over yet because we have the eclipse earthquake coming, quote unquote, on Fox News. I'll pull the clip and I'll send it to you, Sonny, but to post it if you want to quote it in your rundown, when you do it.
Wow. Now they can see into the future and know what earthquakes are coming and how to attribute them.
Well, they know what they were supposed to be reporting.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, gosh, it's like 9/11 all over again.
I know, and then every single time there is a possibility of the SSP operatives gaining control over something or another. They are obviously planned for Trump's funeral and Trump's death, and then, because it's a cash cow for them. It's all about the cash. It's not a, so they had to quickly call all the news stations and retract all that data.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Wouldn't you wait to see if you're successful? It's like buying a lottery ticket and then getting a Ferrari or something. Why would you do that? Wouldn't you just wait to see if you won first?
You would think. That's not how they roll.
Well, they're always used to getting everything they want.
That's true.
Let's call them the black spoon babies. Not the silver spoon, but the black spoon babies, They're always spoon-fed death and destruction whenever they want it.
Yeah. So you said, as of this recording, anti-source, the process of complete separation hasn't happened fully yet, has it?
The process at the source level has happened.
Okay.
The process throughout the entire multiverse is a process.
Okay. And how long will that take, or do we not know?
I don't know, actually.
Okay.
It's in Source's time. There's a lot of celebration going on around there at the moment. So it's kind of hard to get a word in edgewise.
Like from other beings, you mean, celebrating?
Well, there are beings, that's where the souls live, right? Yeah. Souls live with Source, and then, of course, your biblical version of angels live there. So there's folks up there.
Yeah.
He's not alone. I would definitely say there's a celebration going on up there right now.
Nice. Okay.
And it's kind of hard to get in a word edgewise. The last time this happened to me, I couldn't get a word in for 3 days.
Well, there is a big number with Source, so I get it.
Took me 3 days to get an answer. I mean, I go up there, everybody's like, yay, yay, party, you know. I mean, it's not like they weren't talking to me. They didn't ignore me or anything. It wasn't like the phone cut off. They took the phone off the hook and partied for 3 days. I could go there, no problem. But it was just like, you know, yay, you know.
Oh, to be a fly on the wall, Kim. Man.
Well, go yourself. Go yourself. They're partying. Join the party.
Yeah, it sounds like fun to me. You know.
I know. Have some cake. Not that there's cake up there. Well, you know.
It's made of light.
Have some light cake.
Light cake. That's what they
Angel
mean by
food
light.
cake. Boom.
Yeah.
That was cheesy, wasn't it? That was pretty bad.
Okay.
The first thing that came to my mind. I didn't write down jokes, and you know, I don't script this stuff, obviously. So
yeah,
I write down some bullet points, make sure that I cover all the bases, and so yeah. You got a cheesy joke from Kim. There you go.
So you said that based on the information that you have now, you are optimistic that this clearing could, and removal of the, you know, anti-source from source,
the binding,
and that still has
at
to
a molecular level.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that still has to trickle throughout the multiverse. But you are confident at this point that that could impact the transfer of funds. Are you expecting to do more testing at some point for that, or what are your plans there?
Oh yeah, definitely. We're going to see how it looks tomorrow. See how close we are, at least even percentage wise, to this finishing. So remember, this change. I know we've talked about a lot of stuff, but I want everybody to understand. This is about the creation of matter itself on a molecular level where there is no more binding. Right. So it's not about bringing in the light to the planet. That's been happening. It's not about the essence. It's not about consciousness bindings. This is the creation of matter in a 3D and throughout, I guess you would say, to some degree, in the third density, on a molecular level. So to put it into scientific terms, that is what we're seeing change. So, so we're ever hopeful. It'll, you know, you put in a good word with Source yourself and other people and say, could you speed this up? You know, we, especially here in America, we don't have a whole lot of patience. I myself did not get in the patience line when I left.
Yeah.
I opted for the common sense line. It was much shorter. So, you know, so we'll probably, you know, we're ever vigilant right now. You know, they're a little cray-cray. By tomorrow, I expect them to be full on losing their mind, which is fine. There really wasn't a whole lot of it left over there anyway, based on what they continue to do. Yeah, when God wants to punish you, he takes your mind, doesn't it? Isn't it written somewhere?
Yeah, there are stories, at least in the Bible, about that for sure. King Saul. Yeah.
See? There you go. Well, that about wraps up our eclipse recap report for today's Monday.
April 8th.
April 8th.
All right.
There you go. Thank you, Sunny.
Want to share news from UNN? Help us change the face of social media and use it for good. Connect with us through our online channels. Our social media team creates clips from each newscast you can easily share with the people you care about. That's also where you'll find our UNN meme of the day, a great way to encourage critical thinking. Links to all of our social media sites are available at the bottom of our website at unitednetwork.earth. Let's change the face of news together. And that wraps up today's news update. Please share UNN with your friends and family. We need everyone to come together and help restore our beautiful planet. When news happens in your area, record it and share it with us so we can help you share it with the world. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the real news.